started listening to the Beatles when I was 8. I was in the car with my parents and the song Love Me Do was played in the radio. When I heard the song, I said, wow, this is great, who is it? And my father told me, this is the Beatles, we've got all the albums on cassettes. And when we arrived home, I started looking for them. The cassettes had numbers from 1 to 13, I think. I probably took number 4, which was album Help. And my father told me, no, you have to start listening from number 1. And he gave me Please Please Me. And I've been listening only to Please Please Me for 6 months, over and over again. Then I came to another LP. When I was 10, I started going to the guitar lessons, and the main reason was to be able to play the Beatles songs. I started playing my mom's old acoustic guitar, and after a year I got my own guitar for Christmas. I was very excited and happy. I remember that when I was 11 I wrote my first song, and one of the first Beatles songs I could play was 8 Days a Week. When I was 13, I bought a microphone and recorded some 60 songs on the cassettes in instrumental version. I recorded some Hollies, Kings, Shadows, and the Beatles, of course. '50s and '60s music has been number 1 for me since I was a kid, and it still is. When I was 13, I tried to write songs in a '60s style, and I kept telling myself that one day I'll be able to write such songs. But in our little town of Czech Budweis, I couldn't find any musicians who would want to play this style of music. When I reached the age of 18, I started playing in a punk rock band called Kick 69, and I played Paul McCartney's violin bass. I don't care if it's fucking right. It's fucking right. I don't care. It's fucking right. We're Kick 69. We came from Budweis. You know, it seemed pretty funny to others because it was unorthodox. I don't know any punk rock band where someone would play this type of bass. The guys from the band always used to say to me, "Hey Dave, pack your violin and come." We broke up, and from the age of 22 I started recording my songs in my bedroom, in my little home studio. The songs were of a modern pop rock style. However, I didn't make it neither as a composer nor a performer. I even offered the songs to well-known Czech performers, but they rejected them, or rather their managers and labels. It may still happen. In April 2013, I came up with the idea that I could write a Beatles-style song and even make it sound old. It had been my dream since I was little, but I had never recorded anything like that. Thus I wrote the song I Can Change, which introduces my album, but I hadn't finished it and put it aside for some time. In December 2013, I had an idea to make a new Beatles song using their voices. I found an isolated vocal track of the Oh Darling song on YouTube, only Paul's voice with no instruments. I downloaded the audio and imported it into music software. I knew that I could manipulate the voice and the individual words and extend their length. To start with, it was just fun. I raised some tones and lowered others, but when I found out that there are 40 other isolated songs on YouTube, I thought that I could cut individual words from various songs and create a new piece. Then I realized that over the years I gathered about 500 ideas for songs, and many of them resembled of the Beatles. So I said to myself, okay, I also make an album called In the Beatles Style and combine it. I had just lost my job on the radio, so I had plenty of time. I said to myself how great it was going to be. A month went by and I hadn't done any progress, only 2 lines that sounded awful. It was noticeable that it was a hodgepodge, and in some parts one couldn't tell if it was George Harrison singing or a 13-year-old girl. When you overdo the voice alteration, it sounds like a robot, unnaturally.
Oh, darling.
But I was sure I could make it, even if it was going to take years. After a month, I had a good system and started to make progress. I created an Excel spreadsheet where in one column I wrote all the words from songs that I had available. In the second column, a name of the singing artist, Paul, John, George, Ringo, or all of them. And in the third one, the name of the song. If I needed to use, for example, the word love, I filtered it out and it came up in all the songs where it was used. This made the work much easier, because otherwise I would have had to search all the texts, whether they contained the word and in which part of them it was used. There were many other functions. I was making the music at the same time, trying to give it a shape, and in May 2014 it was finished, with it being sort of a very rough home demo. This is the first version of my music. From this part I further expanded the whole song. For example, the chorus, "What Does It Matter, We're Still Together" for Boys Between the Walls, took 14 days, 8 or 2 or 10 hours every day. For this was the text I wrote, and I had to work it out somehow and compose it from what I had available. For example, the word boys is made up from 2 words. From a word that starts with bo and the word joys, which is missing J. Together it sounds like boys.
Boys, boys, between the walls.
Otherwise I usually started with a word, for example I know, and then I searched for something to continue with and added my love. course, while creating this song, I worked on the songs for my album. As I said, I had about 500 ideas over the past 10 years, and I started going through them, choosing about 120 that I continued working on. They were usually short parts, a short piece of melody or guitar riff, although I created a big part of it from scratch. Those ideas were a lead for me to push off from, which is usually very important in songwriting. You Turn Me On is the only song that's made up almost completely using old ideas. I wrote it when I was 14, and I only finished off the lyrics and adjusted it slightly. It was difficult to select the right ideas from the mess, as many of them were very good and the amount I had was enough for 3 albums. I wanted it to be very varied, with the songs including styles of all the albums from 1963 up to 1970. Songs such as Green Spots, Ayahuasca, Marylin, A Good Looking Guy were written from scratch, because many of the old ideas were in the early Beatles style and I needed to fill in a hole in the second Beatles era. The songs were ready in a home demo version in July 2014, pretty much with no words, just the melody. I wrote the lyrics right at the end. I have to thank Adriana, a friend from Slovakia, who continuously helped me with the English language in order for the lyrics to be grammatically correct. She is a big Beatles fan, so working with her was brilliant and easy. Okay, the songs will be written, but I have to record them. So how to do it? I had about $4,000 saved up and I decided to invest them into my project. Apart from Paul's violin bass, I had nothing that the Beatles used for recording. The first thing I needed was a guitar. At home I only had a cheap copy of Les Paul and Fender. I found an advert where some guy was selling a Rickenbacker 330 for half the amount than the original, and it was hardly played. To get it, I spent 5 hours on the train there and back, and it was worth it. I also ordered a book from America called Recording the Beatles, a 500-page Bible that describes everything into a single detail. The way they recorded, what microphones they used, where they placed them, what effects and in what extent they used, how they compressors, limiters, equalizers, echoes worked, how they spaced out instruments into individual tracks. With almost every song comes a breakdown of how the recording was done. This book helped me a lot and 90% came from there. However, I spent a long time translating the book into Czech, as my English isn't very good. Another thing I needed was a guitar amp. I found out that the current Vox equipment doesn't play as well as the old ones did, because they are now made in China instead of England. I asked Pavel Horky to put together a technically exact copy of the Vox AC30 from 1964, which the Beatles used the most. I called it the Mercy sound, which is the style of 60s Liverpool bands. All I had to do now was to get some old microphones. I bought a vintage Philips microphone, a copy of AKGD 19C, which the Beatles used mostly for the drums and piano. It's very cheap today and was back then as well. One of my friends lent me an AKGD 30 microphone. The Beatles used an AKGD 20, but it's almost the same. They used it for recording of bass drum and bass guitar. He also lent me an old Neumann CMV 563, which caused a lot of trouble as he didn't have the connector for it and the special power supply. I have to thank my dad for helping me resolder the connector and make the power supply from an old lamp radio. As we had no case for it, we put it in a shoebox. It took about 2 months for us to make it right. This friend also gave me an old fuzz effect that Beatles used a lot in the second half of the 60s. Besides all this, I bought lots of percussion instruments, a volume pedal, an effect that George Harrison used a lot in the era of For Sale and Help. Other people lent me a Sitar and Fender Stratocaster, a 12-string acoustic guitar, cymbals and more. Many people helped me, but I will speak more about them later on. To start with, I wanted to play the drums myself, but in the end I went for an experienced drummer, and it was the right decision as I'm not such a great drummer and the recording would require a lot of time in the studio. I also needed to have a control over the sound that came out in the control room. The drums were recorded by my fellow performer Maciej Dziwisz from big band Metro Club, where I play the guitar. He's a great drummer and can read drum music, which is a big advantage as he didn't have to memorize all the songs. I sent him a notation. We had one practice in order for me to explain what sort of sound I was expecting and to make sure that the notation that the computer produced was correct before we headed for the studio. I can't really read music, only the basics. So I told him when something didn't sound right and he changed it. We put together a drum setup that was the close to Ringo's. However, he only had 16-inch cymbals and I needed a 20-inch one for the left side and 18-inch one for the right side. I borrowed those from our former drummer from Kick 69, Michael. The other thing to do was to choose a studio where the recording would take place. This wasn't difficult as I used to work at Czech Budweis radio station, which had similar features as the one in Abbey Road. A large room with high ceilings and with a staircase leading up to the control room. I knew everyone very well, so there were no problems in meeting my demands for the recording. Out of the 15 songs, drums were recorded in 12 of them. The drum and microphone setup had to be changed 5 times based on the Beatles era the given song belonged to. I have to thank Roman Kamba, who works in the studio, for letting me set everything up exactly as I wanted. It took 3 months for me to get into the studio, and on the 31 October 2014 I could make a start. On the piece of paper I noted the setup of the drums and the individual microphones for all the songs according to the Recording the Beatles book. I didn't want to miss out any details. Taking 2 old AKG D30 and D19C microphones, blanket, tea towels, video recorders and camera, I headed for the studio. I was really looking forward to it. The recording started with songs from the early Beatles era and continued with the later ones. That was the best way. Maciej was recording with my demo bass that I prepared. We surrounded the drums with a 3-sided drum booth, covered the hole on the bass drum, which is nowadays used because of the microphone, but wasn't used back then. Maciej was complaining that due to the covered hole and with no blanket inside, it was difficult to play. When we put the blanket in, he was very happy.
myslím, že tam předtím neměli nic jako deku, třeba když to nahrávali předtím.
Předtím ne.
Fakt ne?
Až od seržanta Pepra dali deku.
Seržanta Pepra. To je chudák Ringo, to se rád tak napíšu.
We started recording 4 songs using the first setup consisting of 2 basic microphones. The AKG-D30 on the bass drum, placed on its upper right corner, and the 19C as an overhead microphone from above towards the snare. A third room microphone was also used, placed about 3 meters away from the drums, where it stayed for all the songs. This setup was in the style of the 1962-63 Beatles era. Using the second setup, we recorded 2 songs in the style of the 1964-65 Beatles era. The only change was that the AKG-30 was moved to the center in front of the bass drum. The first setup was based on the Revolver album. For the other microphones I had to find an alternative as I didn't have so many old microphones. The Neumann KMS 105 microphone was added under the snare and D19C overhead microphone was redirected. Three songs were recorded using a fourth setup based on the Sgt. Pepper album. The bass drum was stuffed with the blanket and more microphones were added to the hi-hat, tom and floor tom. The fifth setup was based on the Abbey Road album. The bass drum's front skin was removed, while a second tom was added as well as another microphone underneath it. There was a microphone added to the floor tom from below and one on the hi-hat from above. We placed tea towels over all the toms and snares.
Tom dávali, to hrál, to nahrávali.
Co?
Nahrávali? Cože?
S těma utěrkama?
No.
No.
Fakt.
A to zní And some beats on the snare and toms were overdubbed. To necháme to první, co si nahrál, a jenom jestli by si mohl zdvojit tam, kde je úder na verbal a tomy.
Cože?
Co?
Cože? Fakt, jo?
No.
A to nevím, jako...
Když to bude napřed, tak to tam nedám, ale...
No, mají ostrý se trefit, vole, kámo. To není prdel. to chci slyšet.
The last setup was based on the Let It Be album. The tea towels were taken off the toms, the one on the snare stayed, and only 3 microphones were used. A condenser microphone as an overhead, a second one from above, and D19C from above the floor tom. There was almost no hassle with the microphones. I set everything up as I learned from the book and it worked very good. It was great fun, but I had to keep alert. Running up and down, I was setting everything up, making it sound right, checking the sound coming out of the control room, making a video and taking photos. Roman Kamba was quite shocked when he saw it. He said, "What? You want to put a microphone on the floor tom from below? And don't you want to put another microphone from above over the snare?" And I said, "No, I want it exactly like this." And he said, "Okay, do it as you want." Once the song was recorded, the guy said, "Let's do another one." And I said, No, now we have to change the setup." And I was already running downstairs, then upstairs to listen to the sound of it, and then back down to adjust whatever needed doing. Matěj was in a good mood and his laugh was wonderful.
Půjdeme. Dneska máme jako omáčičku s knedlíkama. Tady chlastáme. Odku.
It usually took Matěj 2 or 3 attempts to record one song. Everything was recorded within 5 hours, including the setting up of the drums, sound setup, 30-minute lunch break, and the packing up. The setup was changed 5 times and the sound was perfect. That's great, isn't it? After the drums, I started recording the guitar parts. I couldn't go ahead with this until December 2014, almost 2 months after the recording of the drums, as my dad and I were making a power supply for the borrowed Neumann, which we didn't need for the drums. During this free period, I learned what guitar parts I was going to record, where to place the microphone. I finished off the lyrics. I kept myself busy. I also found a short-term job in Prague and bought an Epiphone John Lennon signature electroacoustic guitar. The Beatles use it a lot in their records, connected through a Vox combo. I started recording guitars, and after a while I realized that the sound wasn't exactly as I imagined. The sound wasn't as bright, it was too soft. Then I remembered that the person who sold it to me mentioned that he slightly changed the setup on the pots and the condensers in the guitar's hardware. I printed out the original diagram and went to ask my dad to help me fix it. Dad used some old Tesla condensers which changed the sound beyond recognition. He said afterwards that now he could actually hear the sound of the Beatles. It wasn't quite right before. To record the Beatles songs from the early era, it was important to place a microphone between two speakers. This is passé nowadays. Everyone places it directly in front of the speaker, and it makes a big difference. From the early songs I used a second room microphone as well, which I placed 2-3 meters from the combo. Another challenge was the recording of a 12-string guitar. That was the feature of A Hard Day's Night and For Sale albums. Of course, I don't have a 12-string Rickenbacker, so I had to record it with my 6-string guitar. My video of how to record the sound of a 12-string guitar with a 6-string one has been on YouTube for quite some time. But that's only for a bit strumming, not when one wants to play the whole song, the whole chords. I had to think of an even better technique to achieve that. At first I played the track the normal way as with a 6-string guitar. And then into the second track I played exactly the same part again, but with different strings. To do the second track, I changed the strings on the guitar and used the extra ones that the 12-string one had opposite to the 6-string one. It made an interesting sound as all 6 strings were thin. Apart from my Rickenbacker, I used my new John Lennon signature acoustic guitar. A guitar with nylon strings. And my Les Paul. I also borrowed 3 guitars. A 12-string acoustic guitar from Vladislav Bartoň, who owns a guitar shop. This is special 12-string acoustic guitar called One Cool Cat. Do you know the song? One cool cat, one cool cat, one cool cat. 3 cool cats. It's 3 cool cats. Yeah. An acoustic guitar from my friend Blowy, a former fellow player from Kick 69. And a Fender Stratocaster from my friend and great guitar player Dan Herman. I was also after a great guitar that George Harrison played, but I couldn't find anyone who would lend it to me. The guitar was followed by the bass. I looked forward to recording the bass the most, as I've always enjoyed it. I recorded all the songs on my Harley Benton copy of the Novotny bass. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to find anyone who would lend me a Rickenbacker bass that Paul McCartney used for recording in the second half of the Beatles era. I recorded the bass using my Harley Benton combo and a AKG D30 microphone.
Today I'm gonna try to be a good-looking guy.
For songs based on Sgt. Pepper, I combined the sound from two microphones, the AKG D30 and a Neumann. The Beatles used this combination for the Sgt. Pepper session. They used slightly different microphones, but the effect was similar. A ribbon or dynamic microphone near the combo and a condenser one farther away. For two songs based on the Get Back and Abbey Road albums, I recorded the bass through DI without the combo, same as Paul did for the majority of songs back then. This means that you plug the bass directly into your audio interface or a mixer. The bass then plays from the monitors and headphones that are plugged into the computer.
I'm rolling down the road, I'm carrying a heavy load, the way you cross cobblestones.
Sitar, that was fun. My friend Lebor Herman, a bass player from our big band Metro Club, recommended his friend who had a sitar. We went to a concert in Prague, and while on the bus I told the guys about my project and that I wanted to include a song in an Indian style. And I asked them if they knew an instrument called sitar. And Lebor said, "Yes, I do. I know a guy in our town who has one." And I said, "That's great, give me the number." It wasn't a traditional sitar, but looked like it's a baby. It was a little sitar, but sounded well. I brought it home in black rubbish bag because it didn't have a case. There is video on YouTube of me playing it for the first time and messing about. Feel free to watch it. The biggest problem was tuning. Sitar has about 20 strings and it took me almost all day to find out how to tune it. It all worked out in the end, and I'd like to thank Libor Petrovalsky for lending Sitar to me. The day after I recorded the Sitar, I went back to Czech Budweis radio studio to record the piano. That was in February 2015. I used my Neumann for the recording and also my Philips AKG D19C that the Beatles used to record the piano for Lady Madonna. For some of the songs I used only the sound from the Neumann, and for some of them a combination of both microphones. The sound was brilliant. Roman Kamba was once again behind the desk and was surprised when I brought a shoebox with a power supply for the Neumann. The recording got even more interesting when my friend Ivan Studeny, who works on the radio, came over to record a certain part on his dictaphone and did some interviews. Ivan decided to make a radio documentary about me, about how I came to this music and about this project. He recorded a conversation in my home once before. I thought it would be great to have a video documentary as well as an audio documentary. You can listen to this documentary on Český rozhlas website, but only in Czech language.
Dream. Angažmá pro Beatles.
Tak jsi připraven?
Momentík.
Můžeme, Davide? Co?
Moment.
Jo.
Percussions.
Ti vypadly zuby, jo?
Dobrý.
Tak jedem, jo? Tak pozor. Hele, je tam trošku problémy mezi tou pravou levou rukou, jo? Protože jakmile tam děláš tu přiznávku, tak někde to je rozsypaný takový. Rozumíš? A nebo v té pravé ruce se ti neozvou některé tóny v tom akordu.
Já hraju jenom basy. Jo, v pravý ruce.
V pravý ruce.
Jo.
Já ti tahle ten záběr tam nechám, ale ještě bychom to natočili jednou. Takže ještě pozor. Dávej si spíš pozor na tu pravou ruku, abys tam měl vždycky ten akord vyhraný. Takhle jsem to přesně takhle jsem to nemyslel.
Počkej, mi to vypadlo, počkej.
Když se to musel učit.
Jo, dobrý. The great thing is that in Big Band Metro Club we have 15 musicians who know other musicians, and 3 of them attended or are still attending a conservatoire with many other musicians who play strings or brass instruments. My drummer, Matěj Diviš, organized Libor Hlaváč on a violoncello. Standa Tischler, our saxophonist, organized Eva Mlázovská on a French horn. And my friend, who is a violin player and lives near me, didn't have time for the recording, so she organized her friend from the conservatoire, Eva Nepivodová, on a violin. And it was obvious who would play the trumpet. In Big Band we have 3 trumpet players, and one of them, Petr Koptiš, is also a fan of the Beatles, so he came to do the recording. The first thing was for me to put together the music sheets. Fortunately, when you create a certain instruments in MIDI, the program will write the music sheets. But anyway, for the trumpet and the horn, it's written in a different key to the one it's played in. That means that if a pianist wanted to play a music part written for the trumpet, it would be out of tune.
What can he ever do?
teamwork was great. It was fun and also quite an experience not only for me, but for them as well, as the majority of them never recorded anything before, only played at concerts.
Jak to zahrát teď?
My songs needed instruments such as Hammonds, mellotron, harmonium, or the sound of Billy Preston's keys. All this I recorded using a keyboard with the help of VTS instruments, computer instruments. However, I didn't record directly into the computer as a MIDI, but the sound went through the combo which I recorded with a microphone. This way it sounds as if it was done live. The sound isn't as clear as if I recorded it directly in MIDI into the PC. For the song Better Days, which is based on the Let It Be album, I asked my brother Patrick to record a keyboard part in the style of Billy Preston. He is good on a keyboard and is also a great fan of the Beatles. For those who didn't know, Billy Preston recorded with the Beatles the Let It Be and the Abbey Road albums playing a keyboard. You can see him playing in the famous Beatles rooftop concert. Patrick likes to play Billy's part from Get Back and Don't Let Me Down, so he knew exactly what I wanted from him. The vocals and then percussions were the last in line. The vocals were recorded in a traditional way. There's not much to say about it. I sang most songs using an old Neumann.
Oh, now I need winter snow. You turn me on more and more. You turn me on.
Though for the Better Days song, I used an AKG D19C, same as the Beatles. But the most interesting part was the recording of the vocals for the Ayahuasca song. The song is in George Harrison's Indian style, and I used a technique that the Beatles used for George Harrison's song Blue Jay Way. I sang into a microphone that was connected into the combo and recorded by another microphone placed in front of the combo. These vocals were then combined with the vocal recorded in a classic way, directly into the mixer.
Ayahuasca, ayahuasca, let me fly out of illusion to spiritual fusion. The inspiration for my future is coming to my head.
Although people don't really notice it, the Beatles used percussions in many of their songs. Tambourines, maracas, a woodblock, cowbell, bongo, Percussions was the end of my recording. My brother and I added clapping into some of the songs and the work was done.
Normálně takhle.
I can't change. I can't change.
I Can Change was the first song I wrote in the style of the Beatles. From the beginning, I intentionally based it on the Please Please Me album. It was a big change in my composing work. I realized that the Beatles used dominant 7 chords a lot and weren't afraid to twist a chord sometimes to make it completely different from the basic scale.
There's no reason why I should start to cry. I'm feeling so fine. When you're feeling blue, you know what to do. That's true, babe. I can't change. I can't change. I took.
It was new to me, as the majority of songs I wrote didn't have any dominant 7th chord and remained in the same scale throughout the whole song. They were usually just classic chord schemes that are used in today's pop music. But to my surprise, I managed it without any problems. Quite the contrary, I felt that I had more options with the song and was getting the Beatles feeling from it. For the opening riff, I used a harmonica together with octaves played on the guitar, just like John Lennon and George Harrison used to do. This required a B harmonica, which I didn't have and didn't want to spend money on a new one just because of one riff. So I recorded it using a C harmonica and then using a computer. I transposed it a half tone lower. During mixing, I really brought out the room microphones. When the Beatles were recording this album, they had room microphones that recorded the whole band from a distance of an audience. It made the record seem like a live performance.
Now it's time to get a horn. Now it's time to get a horn.
This song is based on the With the Beatles album. I really like the opening chords. The song starts with G, E minor, G7, C, C minor, A minor, E7 and G. I like mainly the transfer back to G7.
What I waited for. This girl, she is something more. Now it's time to.
Initially I came up with a separate melody, and when I was looking for the chords that would fit into this melody, this chord really surprised me. There are two tracks of acoustic guitar in this song. One is connected through the combo and the other one in a classic way recorded through a microphone. I always imagined which member of the Beatles would play certain parts and whether they would sing. So I called it Lennon's guitar or Harrison's guitar. When I was recording Lennon's guitar, I often used the same technique as Lennon did when he was recording songs during this era. Together with Paul they sang into a microphone facing each other, with another microphone slightly lower recording John's acoustic guitar. So a little bit of the acoustic also penetrate into the vocal microphone. I didn't sing live, so I just mixed it in with the main vocal.
Oh, my friend, she cries every night. Go to her and shine your light. Now it's time to get her heart. Oh, really, it's time to get her heart. Oh, it's time to get her heart.
The song asked for having the piano included, based on the Not a Second Time song. The piano solo, which plays a melody in the tones, plus adding chords into the refrain, gave the song something more.
Get her home. Please don't waste your time. I know very well when you can find her home. Please don't wait and bring her along. Oh, my friend, she cries every night. Every time you get me. Every time you have me.
Another song based on the With the Beatles album. For the second time, this song uses an acoustic guitar connected through the combo. This time not as a lead guitar, but as a backing guitar. The lead guitar is electric. There is an element that the Beatles used a lot. When John sang a certain phrase and George with Paul filled in as a duet or repeated the given phrase.
Every time you get me, you get me. Every time you have me, you have me. Every time your smile gives me more love. Every time more love.
I really like the vocal.
When you touch me, you spin me round. When you touch me, you spin me round. Ooh, up, 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 ooh, up, up, up. When you touch me, you shut me out of the sky, out of the sky.
I came up with it during the recording of the vocals. This was sang a lot in the 50s rock and rolls, and the Beatles really like using these things. At the end of verse, where it goes on the refrain, I added one special D+ chord, which fits in beautifully and creates a different atmosphere.
Every time you get me, you get me too. Every time you get me.
The Beatles liked using it as well.
I'm gonna try to be a good-looking guy.
A Good Looking Guy is a song that I wanted to base on the Beatles' #1 singles from 1963 to 64. I wanted the song to be fast with some guitar riff and solo in the middle. A melody full of energy.
Today I'm gonna try to be a good-looking guy with a smile.
Basically something like She Loves You, A Hard Day's Night, etc. It took me about 3 days to compose the song. I'd like to mention one curiosity that my work was based on. The majority of the Beatles singles, as well as other songs from the early era, started with a refrain with a minor chord. For example, She Loves You, E minor.
She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Next one, Can't Buy Me Love, E minor again.
Can't buy me love, love.
Help, B minor.
Help, help, help. I need somebody help.
All My Loving, F sharp minor.
Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you.
And so on.
Today I'm gonna try to be a good-looking guy with a smile.
And Ringo also didn't start playing a classic drum rhythm straight away in some songs, but he played the floor tom and snare. I include this in A Good Looking Guy as well.
Today I'm gonna try to be a good-looking guy with a smile.
The song ends with a change of the last two chords. B to G sharp minor, and the last chord is C sharp 6. This is another interesting element of the Beatles from She Loves You, which ends with a sixth chord. Two guitars play the same chord but in a different position. This chord is especially good. I love this. I like the bass line that I came up with. It's slightly in the style of All My Loving, sort of a swing bass.
I love her so. I'm scared of this girl, so let her know. She loves pointing baby style. I don't change my Beatle guy. My smile's gotta be.
The middle part has an interesting lyrics, where I sing that she likes teddy boys, but I'm not going to change my Beatles style because of her, that my smile must be enough. Teddy boys was a young man's hairstyle in the 50s, something like what Elvis had. Greased up hair, combed back.
She loves pointing baby style. I don't change my Beatle guy. My smile's gotta be enough. You'll never let me down. You're the girl I really need.
The Girl I Really Need is a song based on the Hard Day's Night album. The riff that's in the I Can Change song was initially supposed to be in this song. It fitted better in I Can Change, so I wrote another one with the sound of a 12-string Rickenbacker guitar that George Harrison started using in the very album A Hard Day's Night.
People told me you're not good. I didn't care. I never really understood why they made me scared.
The arrangement of this song was inspired by the song And I Love Her. I used djembe, claves, maracas and a guitar with nylon strings. I pulled this song out of my archive of ideas, and when I heard it I said to myself that it was a pure Beatles song and I finished it off. To record the acoustic I used a microphone setup that was mostly used for John Lennon's acoustic parts during the early era.
I've never known that I could love you. Now I know you'll never let me down. You're the girl I really need. You will feel alright. You'll be satisfied.
song based on the For Sale album. Although there are a few elements inspired by the Ticket to Ride song from the album Help or by the Hard Day's Night song. The song is once again based on the sound of a 12-string Rickenbacker guitar, which Harrison used a lot in this album as well. The opening riff is joined with a strike on a cymbal, a D6 chord on an acoustic guitar, a piano, 12-string guitar, and bass. I played a lot with the lead 12-string guitar. There are a lot of special parts and a nice solo, which I really enjoyed. In this song I again use D+ chord during the singing of You'll Be Satisfied.
You'll be satisfied.
The vocal is in 3-part harmony, with the third highest vocal is singing in a falsetto, like in Ticket to Ride, namely in the part My baby don't care.
You will feel alright. You'll be satisfied. You'll be satisfied. You'll be satisfied. Hey! You turn me on.
The song is based on the For Sale and Help albums. It's the first ever waltz or a song in triple time that I ever wrote. It's supported by 3 acoustic guitars, a nylon guitar, a 12-string acoustic guitar, and John Lennon's signature acoustic guitar.
Summertime is here again. Turn me on. You're baby in the place. I feel the warmth. Oh no.
You can hear something similar in the song You've Got to Hide Your Love Away from the album Help. I also used my volume pedal for the guitar's special parts, similar to what George Harrison played in the song Yes It Is. The triple vocals that are throughout the whole song I enjoyed the most.
Summertime is here again. again, you turn me on. You're baby with the place, I feel the warmth. Oh now I need winter snow. You turn me on more and more.
I have to say the song has possibly funny lyrics, but it fitted well with the melody.
Now I need something slow. You gave me love I've never known. Summertime is here again, you turn me on. You're baby with the place, I feel the warmth. Oh no. So I wrote you this song.
If I released an LP, this song would open the second side. It would be a great way to divide the Beatles' breakthrough in their creativity and sound. I think that the Beatles can be divided into two parts. An era from Please Please Me up to the album Help, and the second one from the album Rubber Soul up to the end of their career. So I Wrote You This Song is based on the album Rubber Soul. The song is based on an acoustic guitar with special parts on a 12-string acoustic guitar and a sitar.
So this is my message for you. Now it's the best I can do. Take care of yourself till I come back home. So many times I'm away from home. So many times you're alone. I can't say.
The first time a sitar was used by the Beatles by George Harrison in the song Norwegian Wood from the album Rubber Soul. The sitar fitted really well in So I Wrote You This Song, and what's more, it had given the song even more of the Rubber Soul tinge. Rubber Soul is an album that uses a lot of an acoustic guitar and percussion, and doesn't use much echo. It is quite a dry album. My song had achieved this as well.
So I wrote you this song. I hope it will make you more strong. I want to let you know that I'm not gone. No, 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 no. So I recorded this song.
I used one speciality that was absolutely my idea. Throughout the whole song I play on the floor tom with a tea towel and on the tambourine as on a drum. The tambourine skin served as a snare and the floor tom as a bass drum. It looked funny but really fitted into the song and sounded well.
So many times I'm away from home. So many times you were alone. I can say I love you to your eyes, but I can sing I love you twice. So this is my message for you. It's not like before. It's not like before.
A song based on the Revolver album. It starts with a riff of a double-tracked guitar, something like the Beatles song And Your Bird Can Sing. I like the guitar parts in the refrain.
It's not like before. It's not like before. It was fine, but it's not like before.
And also the lovely solo played through the fuzz effect based on the Beatles song Taxman. I really enjoyed singing the vocals that are in the chorus. Many vocal tracks are doubled up and some are sang in falsetto, like the song Paperback Writer.
It's not like before. It's not like before. It was fine, but it's not like before.
There is also a nice bass line. Overall, it's one of my favorite songs from the album.
I got a question, girl. Don't you see it? Don't you feel it? Everybody knows. Hey, sometimes I can't find a way. You sure I really want it? This is the end. Anyway, there is no point in it. It's not like before. It's not like before. It was fine, but it's not like before. It was fine, but it's not like before. See the green spots in my closed eyes.
Green Spots takes you into the style of the Sgt. Pepper album. I'm very proud of this song when it comes to the musical performance. Interesting chord procedures and harmony. And also the orchestra setup, a violin, cello, horn and trumpet. It was the first time I recorded these instruments into my songs and didn't use MIDI instruments. every instrument part in this song. I had to say that the song has an interesting lyrics. I tried to do something in the style of John Lennon's crazy or psychedelic lyrics, such as I'm the Warloose or Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. My favorite part of the text is I'm sitting under the tree, like Newton's story. I'll be wading to something, what hits my mind. A great metaphor.
When I drink a cup of tea, then I feel free. Sitting under the tree, like Newton's story. I'll be waiting to something, what it's my mind.
And why green spots? Okay, close your eyes, press them a little, wait 5 or 10 seconds, and what can you see? I see green spots. Yes, even something this silly can inspire you to write a text.
I'll be waiting and waiting, what it's my mind. Sunbeam is closing my eyes. I'm in the dark in Garden Park. I see the green spots in my closed eyes. I see the green spots in my closed eyes. Sunbeam is
When I was composing this song, I was thinking about how to end it. I was sat by the piano and playing with special chords, and then I modified the tones in the A chord. And then I found this. And then I had a thought that I could play this over and over and add various strange sounds. A fast forward, a guitar, played backwards, etc. The Beatles really liked such things. I wanted to create a mad ending that would fade out. Then I had an idea to tell everyone who was coming to play the strings and brass to get the weirdest and craziest sounds out of their instruments. To jest really... Co to robi? A úplně nejvyšší tón?
Úplně nevíš co? Já nevím, co taky
Co z toho vymáčkne? Ne, jako vyloženě samotné. Jako, víš. A dáme nějaký pludlo. kouknout do toho.
Ne.
To tak dudy. I was to cut it all and arrange in different ways, play some of it backwards, etc. And it was great fun. They recorded many interesting sounds. Song in George Harrison's Indian style. I enjoyed the recording of this song and mainly singing it.
Alone with myself, alone with jungle sounds, absorbing the feelings I've never had.
It has a special meditation atmosphere. The vocals were also recorded in a special way, as I already described in the chapter about vocal recording. For the vocals and drums, I used an Abbey Road effect called ADT a lot. Nowadays it's known as chorus and flanger.
It's great to be here, many miles from home.
I took the text from a different side to how George Harrison did it. He reflected East Indian religion into his songs, and I wrote a text about South American Amazon and about shamanic ritual drink Ayahuasca. I had recently watched a Czech hour-long document by William Poltikovic, Maestra Ayahuasca, and it really intrigued me. The words fitted into the melody beautifully, and it's possibly one of the best lyrics I've ever written.
Ayahuasca, let me fly out of illusion to spiritual fusion, levitation in space between earth and heaven. I'm lost in meditation. I feel higher vibration around my head.
Almost the whole song uses only one chord, C7. Throughout the whole song, you can hear the Hammond with the odd part on the sitar, doubled up with the 12-string acoustic guitar. It's the only song where I hardly play any guitar. The bass together with drums create an interesting rhythm. the cello and violin copy the melody throughout the whole song, so it can also be listened to instrumentally. These instruments fit in beautifully into this music style. When I heard the song Blue Jay Way from the album Magical Mystery Tour, I said to myself that I must make something like that.
My Marylin, I'm glad for your time.
A song based on the White album. Even though this album is very varied, but I tried to write a song based on Blackbird or I Will, and these songs are on that album. Basically something like Paul's acoustic style. This song I made as the last one, because I knew that it was to be only acoustic, and that the recording wasn't to take much time, and I didn't need any guests playing other instruments. I think that the song is musically quite interesting. I played a lot with the chords. I mainly like the solo part with whistling. I didn't want to record this song using my John Lennon acoustic guitar, so I borrowed one from my friend and former fellow player from Kick 69, Radek Žluva, known as Blowy. It had the sound I needed for this song. The guitar was down-tuned by one tone, same as McCartney's when he was recording Yesterday. I played the song in D, but it's actually from C. Because I recorded the guitar and the vocals separately, I placed a microphone in front of my mouth as if I was singing and recorded the guitar with that microphone as well. Then I mixed it in with the lead vocal for it to have more space, as if I sang it live with a guitar.
I can rely on my heart's wind, my Marylin. My Marylin, I'm glad for your time to spend with this mind, with this mind. Oh, I'm glad for your time to spend with this mind, with this mind.
With regards to the text, I wanted one song with a girl's name. The Beatles had several songs like that. For example, on the White album there are Martha My Dear, Dear Prudence, Julia, Sexy Sadie. I choose Marylin because this name fitted in well with the melody and it's easy to sing. Here we go! A song based on the Let It Be album. With this album, the Beatles went back to the times when they used to record everything live. There weren't many overdubs. It is a live album where they didn't pick on every detail and perfection like in the Sgt. Pepper album. At the start or the end of some of the songs, there are takes of them getting ready, talking or messing about. I wanted to achieve something similar with the song Better Days.
Alright. Well, here we go.
Okay, ready?
Shh. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm rolling down the road. I'm carrying a heavy load. The way you cross cobblestones. Now my feet can go on no more, but I still hope for better days. For better days. This is for better days, ladies and gentlemen. When I play rock and roll.
The big change was that songs from the Let It Be album weren't recorded into mono but directly into stereo. Billy Preston was a guest in this album and played a Fender keyboard, producing many amazing parts and solos. As I mentioned before, my brother Patrick recorded the keyboard for me, so the Beatles had Billy as a guest and I had my brother who in Better Days played really good parts and solo.
It's not my case. No, that's not my case. But I believe it. One more for better days. Come on.
During this era, George Harrison recorded with a Fender guitar, which I haven't got, so I borrowed it from my friend Daniel Herman.
That's not my case. No, that's not my case. But I believe it better.
Ringo Starr recorded with a tea towel on his snare drum and he used a tape echo on it. I like this song and you'll be able to tell in the text of the last verse.
Since 1969, it's been a long, long time. This music has changed my life. Here's a song which makes me happy, and I hope you have lucky days. Oh, better days. This is for better days. What a glittering night. It's the night.
A song based on the Abbey Road album, which was obviously already in stereo as well. All guitar parts are recorded with a Fender. Musically and harmonically, this song is very different from the others. I think I managed to make it sound well. The Beatles used a new mixer for this album that had many more options and had a great effect on the sound of the Abbey Road album. Ringo in Abbey Road often doubled up the breaks on the drums that had tea towels on, and I did the same. Glittery Night also has two bass tracks that are doubled up in certain parts. The song has a piano solo that copies a guitar riff taken from the start of the song. I didn't want to use a guitar again, so I chose a piano and added it to the refrains as well. The overdub of the cymbals is a big speciality. I didn't have timpani mallets to play cymbal swells before the start of the refrain. I wrapped the sticks with my t-shirt and it was done. I also didn't have a stand for the cymbals, so I fixed them to the electric drums I had at home. It looks funny, but when one hasn't got proper equipment, they must experiment and think of other ways of solving it.
What a glittering night. It's tonight, it's tonight. Just sit down and look up, be quiet. Don't blink your eyes, just watch the night. Stop your mind and watch the stars light. And everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright in Glittery Night.
I based the text for Glittery Night on the atmosphere, the tune. I think it fits in there perfectly. At the beginning, I already described how I created the new Beatles song. The song is divided into two parts. The first one is recorded based on Abbey Road album and the second one based on Sgt. Pepper. In order to separate these two parts, I used a cymbal played backwards, which take the song to the second part. The first part has the sound of the drums with tea towels on the snare and the toms, DI bass, a violin, cello, a piano and mellotron. Mellotron is very special instrument you can hear at the start of the Beatles song Strawberry Fields Forever. The piano chords are in a nice harmony. Most importantly, I used one interesting chord that I discovered by a complete chance. I don't even know what it's called, but it's very nice sound. For the last chord, I recorded glasses in duet. You take a wine glass, fill it with water, wet your finger and use it to circle around the circumference of the glass. It makes a squeaky noise. The more water in the glass, the deeper the tone. So you have to keep adding water or pouring it away until you find the tone you need. Okay, sklenička 1. Sklenička 2. OK, tak to zní dohromady. The second part continues with a piano, but it doesn't play in the refrains. There is a harmonium instead. For the refrain, I recorded guitar chords played slightly differently than normal. I was inspired by the song Good Morning. You generally play the G chord like this, but I played it like this. It's a different sound. I also used the same microphone setup as the Beatles during the Sgt. Pepper session. already described the way I recorded the bass based on the Sgt. Pepper album. The song is therefore recorded and mixed in the same way as the song Green Spots. I arranged the trumpet, violin, cello and French horn into the song.
It makes me cry. She knows why. She makes me sad. She knows that. She knows that. I know my love. I know my love.
Some people said that they expected a simpler song, more pop-like. But as I decided to base this song on Abbey Road or Sgt. Pepper, it had to be more complicated and musically interesting and more detailed. There are many changes, which nowadays isn't common, but the Beatles had many songs that in the chorus changed so often that it almost sounded as if a new song was starting. I don't want to compare myself to the Beatles because that's impossible, but I think that I managed to come close with regards to the music as well as the sound. I gave it my best and I'm completely satisfied with it. Good mixing is as important as quality recording. For mixing can really improve the sound as well as completely spoil it. And because the songs are supposed to sound as if from the 60s, I had to use a different style for mixing than what is used today and also use different effects so the songs didn't sound too digital and modern. I mixed all the songs using plugins that came from Abbey Road. The majority of the recording equipment was computerized, so I could use the effects that the Beatles used as well. So, here I have a Red 37 or Red 51 mixer. The Red 37 was used for the first two albums when they were recording using a twin-track tape. When they started using a 4-track, Abbey Road got the new Red 51 desk and they used this mixer until 1969. Then they got the new TG12345 mixer, which they used for the recording of the last album, Abbey Road. Then I have here an Altec compressor that they used at the beginning for the guitars and during mastering. It became the main compressor for the bass guitar throughout. Next one is a limiter Fairchild, which was used a lot for the vocals and since the album Revolver also for the drums. Then there are external equalizers which had different frequency corrections than the ones on the Red mixer. The most used Presence 127 box was used for the drums a lot. During the era of Sgt. Pepper, it was used to a great extent for the guitars. It was also used for the echo. RS-54 is a multiband equalizer that was used only during mastering to start with and later since Sgt. Pepper, also in mixing. Then we have here the J47 tape machine that they started using since the album Help. Every tape machine has a tape echo, or in other words, a delay. It was used a lot in rock and rolls and sounds beautifully on John Lennon's vocal track in the song A Day in the Life. I used this echo for the vocals and piano in the Green Spot song.
When I drink a cup of tea, then I feel free.
And the last effect I have here was made by Abbey Road themselves and is called ADT. Nowadays we know these effects under names of chorus, flanger or phaser. This effects comes out really well on the mono version of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds on John's vocal. The Beatles songs in mono can sometimes differ a lot from the stereo version, because the stereo wasn't mixed until later on and completely from scratch. If you want to hear an original mix, listen to the mono version. The Beatles were present at the mixing of the mono, they played with every detail and had to authorize the mix. They didn't even think about the stereo. As an example, I'll show it to you on the song Time Together Heart. And because it's a song based on the Beatles' second album with the Beatles, I have the red 37 desk on each track. The drums and the bass are sent into a group that I called Fader 1. I used an Altec compressor for Fader 1. Nowadays a compressor would be used separately for the drums and for the bass. But because I tried mixing like the Beatles did, I used the compressor for the drums and the bass together. Thus each fader has its own compressor or limiter. Fader 2 group has 2 guitars. Fader 1 and 2 then go into the track 1 group, which it means track 1 on the tape. So on track 1 I have the basic rhythm and a compressor is used there once more to reduce peaks and a minor frequency adjustment to red 37. Fader 3 has the vocals and room microphones, which are very important mainly for the records of the early Beatles era. The Beatles usually recorded everything live, even the vocals, so the vocal microphones recorded the drums, bass and guitars as well. When I was recording those instruments, I placed a second microphone 3 meters from the amp or the drums. I then mix it in with the vocals and it sounds as if I recorded the vocals live with the band. It makes the song sound more spacious. And Fader 4 has the piano and other overdubs, such as clapping, percussions. Fader 3 and 4 are sent to track 2. For the echo, I used a Lex Chamber plugin with a Presence Box EQ.
Oh, my friend, she cries every night. Go to her
mastering, I used one important thing. The songs didn't sound quite like I imagined, and I kept thinking why. Then I had an idea to do frequency analysis of the Beatles songs, which solved the mystery. I'll show you on the song I Can Change, which is based on the Please Please Me album. When I analyze the song Please Please Me, you can see that the frequency range ends in 16 kHz. Nowadays, songs have a range up to 20 kHz. Elderly people may not hear the frequency from 16 kHz, but the thing is that the volume of the frequency from 8 kHz to 16 kHz slowly reduces. So I cut these frequencies down and suddenly I had the right sound. I also used Altec compressor and RS56 EQ. The book Recording the Beatles states the approximate setup that they used in Abbey Road for mastering, and it looks like this. I also used the J47 tape machine, and then I have here a few minor frequency adjustments, and that's all. During the mastering of the song Glittery Night, which is in the Abbey Road style, I used the already mentioned TG12345 console. I have here limiter, frequency adjustments and spread. Spread is the stereo width. Once all the songs were finished, I went to the Czech Budweis radio studio once again to play the songs through a tape. This means that we burned the songs onto a CD, play them on a tape, and then from the tape back into the computer. This gives the records a bit of an analog sound and makes them softer. The sound improves even more and gains a greater authenticity of the old records. If the songs are based on the Beatles, so should be the cover. I divided the cover into 4 windows, like on the album Let It Be, and in each one I put a photo from my surroundings based on various Beatles covers. The window number 1 is based on the album Please Please Me, where everyone looks down of the photographer from a staircase. I had the same photo taken, but looking down from my room's balcony. The window number 2 is based on the album with the Beatles. Black and white cover with a photo of the Beatles' heads on a black background. The window number 3 is based on the album Help, where everyone is dressed in winter clothes on a white background. The window number 4 is based on the album Abbey Road, a photo on a zebra crossing. I had my photo taken on a zebra crossing that's close to my home. It's the same crossing that you can see at the beginning of this documentary. Everything was taken and PC modified by my brother Patrick. I just told him how I wanted it. I released the album in a digital form on iTunes only. Nowadays it doesn't make sense for unknown artists to release a physical CD. especially if it's not released by a label and you are doing it by yourself. It's maybe worth it for bands that play live and can sell some CDs to their fans during their concerts. Yet I had 50 CDs made for my friends, people I know, and for whoever participated or helped in any way with the songs. The CD is unofficial and I gave it away, so as a bonus I was able to add a new Beatles song which I can't own the copyrights for, as I used parts of vocal tracks from the Beatles records for it. If you'd like to support me and you like my songs, please do buy my album on iTunes. I'll be very grateful. It wasn't very easy, but I did my best. It required a lot of patience. I had to wait for a month to get into the studio to record the drums, then they cancelled the date and moved it by another month. The same happened with the piano. It took my dad and I a month to make a power supply for the Neumann microphone, and only then could I start recording the guitar and other things. The musicians that recorded the brass and strings also couldn't do it straight away. When I was supposed to start mixing the songs, I started a new job, thus didn't have much time to do it. Once the songs were ready, again, I waited for 5 months to get into the studio to play the songs through a tape. But this is how it is, and I thank everyone who helped me. I'm truly happy that I managed to finish it. If anyone writes to me that it's no good, I don't care. For me it's important that I like it. And if people write that they like it, I'll be doubly happy that I pleased other people as well and that we are on the same boat. You know, people tell me that I should make a breakthrough with it, that I made something exceptional and it would be a shame to waste the time I spent doing it. Yes, that is my aim. I'd love to earn my money by doing music, composing, producing songs, etc. And I know that I have the right predispositions for it. But even if it didn't work out, nothing will take away this feeling of happiness that I managed to compose and record this album in this sound. And I'm definitely going to continue composing. Everything I do is for the love of music, and months spent sat by the computer with a guitar and a microphone will never be a waste of time for me, but a moment that I enjoy.